Okay.
Hey guys, and welcome to Tnashi's Movie Corner, and I am bringing you another matchup in the animated movie tournament. We have Toy Story versus Lion King. I know many of y'all were looking forward to this one. So in order to determine the winner of this matchup, we go based upon plot, main characters, side characters, songs, humor, villain, cast, romance, action themes, and memorability. And we try, I try looking at this matchup, try to be as objective as possible when determining who wins the point. So let's go ahead and get started. And when it comes down to plot, we actually decided to give plot to The Lion King. Now, Toy Story's, got a good story going. All about Woody and the toys meeting Buzz, and you have Buzz who's kind of confused about what he is and where he is, and Woody getting jealous of Buzz getting all the attention from Andy and everything, and they go on this adventure. And that's fine and good. But when really looking at it, a big chunk, the majority actually, of the plot hinges on Buzz believing that he is not a toy, that he's a real space ranger. When you really put that under the microscope, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if he truly believes that he's a toy, then why on earth does he, act like a toy and go lifeless or what have you when Andy or any human is around? It just doesn't really fit. It's a big error in the film's logic, and there just wasn't that kind of logic for The Lion King. Lion King's a really well put together plot. So for that reason, Lion King kind of won. And Lion King's more of a family focused base. It's not one thing. It's not like Toy Story where kind of coincidences happen that lead to stuff. With Lion King, it's kind of every scene has a significant meaning to the overall story. So for that reason, Lion King gets the point. Moving on to main character, we were comparing Buzz and Woody to Simba. Simba's a very likable character, and he's a very human, if you will, character. He has a lot that we can really identify with as an audience. Whereas Woody is a bit of a jerk, honestly. Majority of the movie, he kind of lets jealousy control him, and you have Buzz, who's very naive on everything as well. However, they're really two likable characters, and by the end of the film, they do have a lot of growth to them. Plot problems aside, they really have something going for them that makes them both quite likable, and together, I think they do a better job than Simba. Not that Simba doesn't do a great job. So for main character, we had to give it to Toy Story. Moving on to side characters, we gave that one to Lion King. Toy Story has quite a few side characters. They're just not as relevant. Whereas Lion King, pretty much all the side characters serve a great significance to the story. Whether it's motivating our main character to do what needs to be done, or in the case of hyenas, trying to kill him and helping to be responsible for the change in the film. Again, you have Mufasa as a really strong side character as well. and you have Rafiki and the guidance. You have Nala and the love interest slash best friend, who kind of starts Simba down this path, and even Timon and Pumbaa have their own little character development where they are so kind of free spirited and everything, but yet they're coming to the defense of their friend for a kingdom that they really don't have to worry about. It's not like it's not something that they had to do, but they're doing it. Moving on to songs, we gave that one to Lion King. Toy Story has 3 songs, which are really, they incorporate well within the movie for sure, and they're very memorable in their own right. But Lion King just kind of trumps it on number, and so Lion King has significant songs as well and important songs to the film, but they have the numbers in their favor, so we had to give it to Lion King. Moving on to humor, we gave that one to Toy Story. Lion King has its fair share of humor, more laugh out loud than subtle, but Toy Story has some humor in just about every scene. There's rarely any scene that doesn't contain some form of humor, subtle or otherwise. Moving on to villain, we had to give that one to Scar. Toy Story has Sid, and it does a good job at hinting at Sid at the beginning and everything, and then of course how the story plays out. We have Woody and Buzz who end up there and have to deal with him, but he wasn't a direct villain to the toys. He didn't know about them being alive or anything, so he wasn't really evil. He was troubled, but he wasn't evil. Whereas Scar was willing to kill his own brother and then have his nephew murdered, and then got the power he wanted and ran the kingdom into the ground and didn't care because he had the power. So, and Scar's a very likable villain. He's got a certain sense charm about him, and of course he's very clever and calculated when he sets everything in motion. So we had to give it to Scar for the villain. Moving on the cast, we actually went and gave that to Toy Story. That was pretty hard to do when you have James Earl Jones and Jeremy Irons, to some extent Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane, but with Toy Story, just about the entire toy cast really lends themselves well to the voices, and Tim Allen and Tom Hanks stand out, of course, as the 2 main leads of the movie. So there was more screen time really for them and for their voices, for those 2 specifically, versus James Earl Jones, who does a good job, but he's not in the entire film. And that's the one thing where the entire cast of side characters was just more overwhelming than Lion King's, and really helped to identify themselves, voice-wise at least, as those characters. Moving on to romance, we gave that one to Lion King. Toy Story has a very small, almost insignificant romance, whereas Lion King really builds it up over the entire film, and you do buy into it, at least to an extent. So for romance, we gave it to Lion King. For action, we actually gave that one to Toy Story. Again, this was kind of a numbers game, just trying to identify all the action scenes. Lion King has fewer action scenes, but they're very emotionally significant to the story. But Toy Story has a few that are significant as well, and it's just got more action in it, including the very, very beginning of the movie. So it starts off with kind of a Mission Impossible like action sequence. Moving on to themes, we gave that one to Lion King. From the very first opening scene, we get an idea as to one of the big themes of the movie, which is not something that Toy Story does right off the bat. And the themes in Lion King are just throughout the entire movie. They're literally incorporated in the entire movie. And then moving on to memorability, we gave that a tie. That was really hard to pin down. Memorability is one of those things where it's hard to be objective about it. When you're looking at it and trying to identify the scenes, And again, I think Lion King had some really strong, emotionally impactful moments and moments that stand out in the movie as a whole. But looking at Toy Story as well, you also have scenes that really stand out to people, and although not as emotionally impactful, there's quite a few of them. And you get a few emotional impactful. I don't want to say there's none, but they kind of counteracted each other, and in the end, we couldn't really decide which one would win that. So anyway, yeah, that'll wrap this up, and we have a 4-6 vote, I believe. Yep, 4-6 in favor of Lion King. So Lion King wins. I know a lot of people were looking at Toy Story to be the winner. Toy Story is a great movie, and I know it really connects with people's childhood and everything. Again, because who doesn't play with toys? I mean, who doesn't imagine that kind of thing happening? You know, what if this were to happen? Kind of bit. There's just something about that that, in its own right, stands out to a lot of people over, a story of Lion King, the Hamlet kind of thing, Shakespearean. But at the same time, it's lions. It's not toys. Everyone you would think it associates with toys, but realistically, again, being as objective as possible, and just looking down the points and really breaking down these movies. I've seen these movies so many times because I try to watch them, or I've tried to watch them at least once a week or once every 2 weeks to make sure that I can, make notes about other things that I see, and it's really tasking. But yeah, so that's the end of that one. The last matchup is going to be Lion King versus Aladdin. So go ahead and comment below. Tell me, do you agree or do you disagree? Would you have had Toy Story winning? And who do you think is going to win on Lion King versus Aladdin? I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts. Hopefully you enjoyed this vid. Click that like button, share, and subscribe to my channel. Watch my other vids if you haven't. We are finally reaching the end. This is ridiculous. My first video was doing a matchup. Well, my first movie, I should say videos, was doing a matchup. So it's really cool to finally come to the conclusion. It's been a while. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and check out my Tis the Season giveaway that I'm doing. We are running down on time now. So if you do put a video up, please let me know, because it's a lot easier if you just tell me that there's hey Tnashi, I got my video up for an entry or what have you. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and until next time, peace.